Welcome to today's webinar covering the 2017 Stair Enhancements. My name is Laura Hackle, and I will be covering the ability to edit the stair tread definition schedule from the Member Edit screen, naming stair treads in the stair tread definition schedule, top cap plate ends, adding CNC marks, and preview when inputting the stairs, and much more. If you have any questions, you can type in them during the webinar, and I will answer them at the end. So we had the Quick Add stair in 2016, which I covered in the webinar. Now in 2017, there has been added a setup for the Quick Add stair that it will read from. So if I go to my job options, so options, job options, and then I go to my plugin options and command, this is where the setup is going to read from. So I'm going to click on my Stair Quick Add tool. And so here's where your Quick Add stair information is going to read from. It's kind of like when I covered the handrail Quick Add, it had a specific setup for it to read from. What I'm going to be changing here is I'm just going to change my stringer nosing dimensions. I'll just change that to a half. And then we have also, I'll come back to CNC marks. So right now it's set to none. I could change it to nosing or support, which I'll cover later on. We have our general tread settings, the tread schedule. You will notice that now you can name your schedules. I will get to that later on as well, but I'm going to change this to a grading profile. I'll leave my tread width at 3 feet. Our tread support settings, there is a new option to add bolts to tread supports, which I'll cover later on. But for now, pan and continuous, you can have add bolts to the tread support to the stringer. This is only active if you have a single angle support on a pan or continuous tread. This can be applied for shop assembled or not. We have our connections as well. So my first flight from my interior, I'll have bolt to floor, same with my exterior. And then you have your connection type like a floor clip. For our intermediate flights, for my interior, for my low end, I have bolt to floor with a clip angle. And then I have intermediate for my interior, for my high end, I have a return. My exterior for my low end, I have a return. And same with my exterior for my high end. These are all clip angles. I'm just going to leave that for now. I'm going to go back and change some later on. Then we have for my top flight a return. We just have it at a foot. So I'm going to click OK. And I'm just going to open up my main. So a little recap, the Stair Quick Add was very helpful for stairwell and landing stairs. You can input the stairs quickly and then come back and modify them just like the handrail Quick Add. You will put them in all at once, but they will be individual stairs later on. So once I add this, so everything looks correct. I have my stair tread schedule as a grading profile. I could change my interior, exterior stringer section sizes. I'm just going to leave them. We have my low end settings like I talked about, the bolt to floor. We have returns for my top flight and intermediate. So I'm just going to click OK. And I pick my first point, and then you're going to see that this pops up. It's a preview. So it's a preview of what the horizontal nosing to nosing, vertical nosing to nosing, my number of risers, the riser height, and the tread. So I'm going to click up here, and you see as you move your mouse, it will change or update. So it's just a little preview there. Currently, you can't turn that off, but I know there is a PR for that. So I'm going to click that second point. Now I'm going to click my third one. Now you see that it updates my horizontal nosing, my treads, my riser height. And you'll also see as I add these in, I have new member numbers. And then I have my third one in there. So once I'm done, I'm just going to right click. And you see I have my bolt to floor with a floor clip. I have a return for my exterior as a clip angle, and so on going up the line. You could also add this in a plan view. So if I'm in my plan view here and I go to Quick Add, I'm going to uncheck the calculate elevation and use previous elevation. So I click on my first point. I'm going to make sure I have intersection construction line. And then for my second point, I'm going to come down in my Z filter and type in 8'2". And now you see that it updates. So I'm going to go ahead and click on, let's say, I'm just going to go all the way to F. So it's saying my horizontal nosing to nosing, my vertical nosing to nosing, my number of risers, my riser height. So if I click on that, my second point elevation is 8'2". Let's click OK. And there I have my stairs. So coming back here to my main, I'm just going to surface to the inside of the stringer. And if I edit this, I talked about when in the setup there, you can now add CNC marks to your stringer. So I have here, it says none. I'm going to change this to nosing and just click OK. So this is basically Bruce Vaughn's parametric that we have included. It will not show up in your CNC setup. This is just a separate option for the member edit screen, but it would show up in your CNC download. So you see I have the little X marks for my nosing. If I change this, maybe I want to change it to a pan. So like I said, you can see that they are all named now, which I'll get back to in a second. So if I change that to pan, and maybe I change this to support. And now I have those little X's for where the supports are. So when I talked about naming the configurations in my stair tread definition schedule, here is all my different schedules. So I have my pan. Maybe I just wanted to come in here for schedule 12 and just write Laura. Now if I came into schedule 13 and try to type in Laura, it will say the schedule name must have a unique among the list of schedules, so you cannot name something twice. So I'm just going to change this back. But you can see the different tread types, just as we had before. We have my plate rolled. So I have it set to plate and the shape is rolled. I have a C shape as well. I'm just going to click OK. So you might have seen if I edited this, there's little link icons here. You also saw those in the joist. So what this means, the linked, is that's if I were to edit something in the setup, it would automatically be applied to this specific stair because it's linked to my setup. Now, something new is maybe I wanted to change it, instead of having angle here, I wanted to be flat bar, but I just wanted it for this specific stair and I didn't want to go into setup and change my setup or like change it for all the rest of my stairs. So I can edit this actual stair tread. So it's my pan profile. I could come in here from my single and type in flat bar 3/8, let's see, by 3/4. Click OK. Now you see that it is no longer linked. There's an like a little cross out there. So if I were to change something in my pan setup, it would not affect this specific stair because I have kind of like a user connection. I have gone in there and changed that. You also see in the drop down here, now I have my pan profile with a 1 bracket there. It's kind of just like a temporary schedule that I've created now. If I click OK, now I have a flat bar and my supports have updated. So I could edit multiple stairs at once as well. So maybe I come in here, select this stair and edit it. Now you will see this icon right here represents that since I multi-edited, some are like some of the members that I selected are linked and some are not. So that's what this little message means. Now let's say I change these both to continuous. Now they're linked again because I have now changed it to something from my setup. My stair tread for my top tread, I'm going to change that, and let's say I change my return top to 12 inches. I'll have a clearance of 1/8 inch. And my pattern setback, let's say I have a swinging door, so I'm just going to change that to 1/16 of an inch since it's checkered. Click OK. Now it is no longer linked. And click OK. And now I have a continuous, and they both updated there with a return of 12. Same thing with this one down here. Now, something nice about that is if I edit that or go back in there, you do have where you can save these. So if I wanted to save this, maybe I call this continuous top tread. Now you have an infinite number of like forms or configurations that you can save. So let's see, I'll just go ahead and click OK. And then I could come over here to this one. Maybe I want to change this to continuous. And come into this top one, and I'll just go ahead and load it. Now, if I had this still set to a bolted grading, I would not be able to load it since it's not the same profile. Click OK. Now this one, maybe I need to just edit it a little bit, so I can come back in here. Let's say I want to change this to 4 foot. And my pattern setback, I'll put that at 1 inch and 1/16. So now you see it lowered that, and that extended that 4 feet. You can also extend the bottom. So we now have made it so you can extend further. So we expanded the restriction on that bottom riser. So if I edit this and come back in here, it says -2 feet. Maybe I put -4'8". And it expanded that all the way. You could also break off this bottom tread. So maybe I want to go to Model, Member, Break Member Apart, and select that bottom tread. So now it's a separate member, but if I edit that, it's still system material. Now if I come in here and I change this back to a bolted grading or a grading profile, it will recombine that. So it recombined that bottom tread. Coming back over here, maybe instead of a return, I want to put a top plate on there, or top cap. If I edit this, and I'm just going to go ahead and make some of these. Okay, so I have my far side stringer return for my right end, and I'm going to turn that to a top cap. And then my support to work point, I'll change that to 2.5. I'll change this to 0.5. My cope depth top, maybe 3.5. Length is 6. And I always want to make sure that you fill out that cap plate thickness as well. And now I have a top cap on there. Now I'm going to come back to this in a second, but you can see that it's interfering with that tread. So maybe I want to edit these connections as well. I'm going to change them to shear. So if I come down to my right side, or right end near side, I'm going to change this to a shear. My side, I'll just change to an interior. Maybe I want this plate, the length to be 6 inches. And my hole type, I'm going to change that to a short slot. Over on this side, I'm going to change that also to a shear. Leave that at exterior. Sure, I'll change that to 6. I'll just leave that at standard round. But my horizontal, the first hole, I am going to change that to maybe 2.5. I'm just going to click OK. So now you see on the interior, I have my shear tab. And if I turned off my bolts, you see that I have my short slot. And then on this side, I have no longer interfering with that riser or that tread. I'm going to surface back to the inside stringer, and you see that I have my single supports here. If I edit that, like I said, you could, in my tread support settings, you can now add bolts to that tread support if you have just a single support. So I'm going to go ahead and add those. And for my auto tread support dimensions, I'm going to change that setback from nosing to 2 inches and my length of material to 8. If I click OK, now it has added those to my stringers. So it was chosen to add this in the edit screen since the support length is calculated from the tread and the riser on the pan and continuous treads. Now let's say I go ahead and I'll just look at the bill of material of this. I'm just going to detail without templates for now. And go into the bill of material here. And you do see that it's now called out in my bill of material. The last thing we have is the riser closure plate component. So let's say, we'll just go to this one right here. So I'm going to add the riser closure plate. Now we do have the option for the toe plate for closure plate or a toe plate. So I'm going to leave this at closure plate right now. I'm going to go ahead and omit my top riser and click OK. And now you'll see that I have those in there. And if I rotate out, I'll just turn this off. So I have those riser closure plates in there, and it omitted that top riser. So I omit the top riser. Maybe I want to change from a grading. I can also change it to a plate, but it has to be either a C-shaped or a rolled plate. So I'll just change it to a C shape. And you can see there, maybe I don't want that bottom one. I could edit that. And maybe I want to change this to a toe plate. My distance above the tread, I'll change to 3 inches. And I'll just show you the difference there. And I could also omit that bottom toe plate. Then I could also copy that around just because it's a component as well. And then when I edit that stair, I have riser closure plate shows up here. Now let's say I change this to something that doesn't, like a pan, and hit OK. Clearly it's not going to be there, but if I edit that, there will be a message down here. If I scroll all the way to the bottom, it will say that it's unsupported because it does do grading and plates. So if I change that back to a plate, so let's do the plate rolled. It does show up there. That concludes today's webinar, where we covered the ability to edit the stair tread definition schedule from the member edit screen, naming stair treads in the stair tread definition schedule, top cat plate ends, adding CNC marks to the stringer, and much more.